Good evening. We're back with you. Speak your mind. The numbers are up there, 300-1949 and 300-1950 for text. And we're hoping to have some good interaction tonight. We're going to start out with some discussions about some of the topical items that we have in our community. And we're also going to engage our viewers out there to dialogue with us. Tell us what's happening out there. We know that we may have a call waiting, so engineering, you could put the call straight through, and we'll go from the call to the topics that we're going to expound on. Good evening. You're free to speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Yes. Good evening. Good night, Dr. Dawson, Ms. Ambrose, Mr. Sam, Lewis here. If I choose to attend this wonderful event for 4 days, other than the side trips, if my wife chooses to attend with me, do I have to duplicate the fee of $320?
Okay, you're going to have to follow, we'll have to follow that up for you because they've already left. But we'll follow that up for you. You're asking if there's a spouse fee or if there would be a duplication of fees?
That's correct.
Okay, we'll follow that up for you, and we'll have to ensure that somebody get back to you, okay? Or you have to... Yes?
Yes. Dr. Dawson, he has my telephone number. You just tell him it's Louis.
Louis?
And yes.
Okay. I'll give him that information directly.
Okay, then. Thank you.
All right, bye. Okay, so we're going to follow up on that concerning the joint attendance. I'm sure there are other people who would be interested in that as well, Sam.
I think so.
Yeah, one of the things we're going to touch on tonight is the change in duty measures. We understand that there's a proposal out there, or it's beyond a proposal. I think it's now a government policy where we're looking at an anomaly. I would like to call it an anomaly. I don't know if everybody would agree with me, but I'd like to call it an anomaly where for years now we've been paying duties on insurance and freight, and it has been causing some of our importers, some of the people that we sell to the consumers, have been causing them to lose a lot of money and to have what I call an unfair competition because of that. And I think some measures have been put in place to remove those things, and I think it's only fair that our viewers out there who understand that when we buy a product, there are a number of things that are included in that product. There's the rent that's included, there's transportation, there's the wharfage, there's custom duties. There are a number of things that build up to the price. When a supplier sell you something, it's not just the cost of the item, but all these additional costs are part of the retail price that you have to pay. So being that as it is, I think I would say it's a good measure to try and, in these hard economic times, find ways to make things more affordable for people out there who are struggling in these hard times. And Sam, I don't know if you want to weigh in on anything.
This week alone, I've had a number of people said to me, they applaud the minister for what he's trying to do.
Yes.
But the problem is not even with, in their judgment, in their view, it's not with the duty people have to pay on important products, because there's a number of products that are duty free that the supermarket and some of the retailers are given. So by right, a lot of savings should have already been passed on to the consumer. Right. So this is just another step, but without some sound policy, without something saying, listen, supermarket A or gas station B. We know suggested retail price is this. We know what you're paying for imports. We've given you a break on this and a break on that. By right, you should pass on a 40% or 20% saving to the consumer without there's any policies in place that's directing the individual to pass on that savings to the consumer. You know, the folks are saying it's a good measure by the Premier. Hey, you know, good job, but at the same time, you know, you look for example what the government had to do years ago with the ferry services that were collecting tax and weren't turning it in. You know, despite whatever incentive the ferry service were getting from government. So government went ahead and put in their own measures.
We have a caller. Yes, good evening. You're free to speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
On the day of the swearing in, a territorial candidate said in his speech that he will make sure none of his colleagues on either side lie to the people of the Virgin Islands. Gino posted an article about the head of the public works being removed. The Minister of Communications and Works stood up in the second House of Assembly and explained to the public that that information was false. But just the other day when I went up there, I asked for him and they told me he has been replaced. So I want to know, was that story true or was it false?
The story that you heard?
Yeah.
So again, you heard what? You read what?
On Zeno, they had that he was going to be removed. But the Minister of Communications and Works said it was not true. But still he was moved.
Let me ask you a question, Carla. Would you agree that the government right now, in their judgment, have a role, or it's their decision if they decide at some point that one person may not be working in the fullness of that capacity of that job or that area or that department, and they have the right to move them? Would you agree with that?
I understand that, but you can't judge in 1 month. That was 1 month time.
So you're
even labor code policy is 3 months probation. That was 1 month.
So your understanding is that maybe the information wasn't quite clear. It was misleading.
And another thing, I passed by the taxi stand. Here's some of the taxi men them talking about the comptroller for custom. The next day you see what them say. Prophecy will fulfill what they say. So I want to know, it's like from that one time when the previous premier was in London and some kind of paper that he was waiting for was in the hands of the public even before he come in here, he had the level of the public servant had just dropped. Because I think the way they're dealing with things, you know, is unprofessional and it's disappointing, you know, to go to public servants that working good.
So what you're speaking about government leaks.
Government leaks?
Yeah, when they leak information out to the public.
That is wrong.
Okay.
Because it's like and they're standing up and saying you don't know where that come from and this letter come here. It's like you're telling people you shot the sheriff, but you didn't shoot the deputy.
But you know, I could ask you about the flip side of that. What about the other side of that, where a lot of things are happening in secrecy? Where, you know, civil servants are being victimized, you can say, to some extent, and it's all done in secret. Nobody knows who did it. You know, you could ask, you could write letters, you could do whatever, but you never ever find out who really did to the person. And you know, the civil service positions are at the will of the governor.
Because it looks like to me it's two classes of BVI landlords here: BVI NDP and BVI VIP. That's what we look like, and we're supposed to be. You're talking about building world class public servants, but they need to come to a realization of who they're supposed to be competing with, because right now they're competing amongst themselves. You're supposed to be competing with your competitors globally. You're
talking about the PSDP program. That's their slogan. That they're building world class civil servants.
They got a long way to go.
Well, Carla, to your credit, all I can say is that I don't work for government, but I have no confidence in any PS. I have no confidence in any supervisor that works for government, because I think personally there are people who are being discriminated against, people who are being victimized by certain individuals in government. And the top level of government is just turning a blind eye. And that's 20, 30 years in the works, not just yesterday. It's been going on for a long time. So until you make a radical change and change the whole set, you won't get anything done.
Because they were telling them, eat them out, drink them out, vote them out. Now, the reverse of that now is like use them, abuse them, refuse them, accuse them, then lose them.
I understand. Speak your mind.
Okay.
Good night to you.
All right. Thank you very
Thank
much
you
for
for
your call.
calling.
All right. Yeah, we have another call. You can please put the call through. Yes. Good evening. Yeah, we speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Cody.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And your partner there.
Good evening.
I'd like to make a comment on the new customs laws.
Okay.
I think we've been working for 20 years to get this done. To stop charging retailers and import people on insurance and freight.
Yes.
And I think it's a wonderful thing. But a lot of people seem to think that the prices should drop immediately. But that cannot be done because a lot of people have inventory
That's correct.
that were in place before this new law came into effect, which was held very quiet. And we understand that it needed to be held quiet because people will be ordering forever to get the discounted fare. But I think it's a wonderful thing for the BVI, and everybody should be very proud that the new government has chosen to take this course, which for 20 years, the people of the BVI, if you've ever been in the retail business, as you know, have been complaining about the fact, why are we paying duty on insurance and freight?
Correct.
Yes, so that's my opinion. But nobody in the BVI should expect to see any great change immediately. But the retailers, as far as I'm concerned, can keep charging the same thing they're charging for at least 2 years, but do not raise their rates.
So, Carla, you're saying a reasonable time for retailers, if as soon as your inventory goes out, could be in a month, 2 months. You're saying that a reasonable time should be 2 years before you start implementing changes on your prices?
No, not on every retail store, but I mean somebody who has huge inventories like Right Way or somebody like that. As long as they do not increase their prices, we're fine. They can drop their prices, but then again, if you need a monetary board to monitor what's going on, I mean, for years, chicken has been duty-free in this island, and it's never been passed on to the consumer.
I'm glad you mentioned chicken because I find some interesting things happening with that bird. They take the wings and they decide that a lot of people here eat chicken wings, so that's where they're going to make the most money.
Well, Courtney, that's not only here. That's in the United States, too. You pay more for chicken wings than you do for chicken breasts. I mean,
for any other pet.
Demand. Supply and demand.
Supply and demand.
Well, Carl Gallagher says this. The Premier took a bold step. He said effectively February 1st. The government is standing to lose $3-point-something million on this. And I think right now, retailers such as yourself and others should immediately reduce your costs because you can factor out that duty that you would have been paying on any incoming duty, any incoming freight. You can afford to reduce your costs immediately.
Can I just correct you on one thing?
Okay.
I'm retired.
I stand corrected.
I'm a retailer. I'm a BD owner, but I'm not a retailer. But I do understand that you do have inventory surplus before this law went into act. So, I mean, not a lot of stuff, but yes, I agree. We should see the repercussions of this act in at least 6 months.
There you go.
That's a reasonable time.
Yeah.
But also, does this law apply to fuel? and electricity and diesel and oil and gasoline and natural gas?
That's a very good question.
It should be across the board.
That's a
So
very
does
good.
that mean our gasoline prices?
You see, even yourself is looking for savings now. So why don't we start by leading, show example.
Immediately, not immediately, but in the future.
But
Okay, 6 months.
but your point.
6 months.
But your point is well taken, though, that, persons that have inventory and orders in place already would definitely, would-
Because any invoice that was written before the 1st of February is not entitled to this new law.
Absolutely, okay.
But does that mean that the government's going to monitor it and somebody's going to look at like gasoline, diesel, oil, natural gas?
Well, I only want to say one thing. The article that I read said it's a policy. So it hasn't been to the House of Assembly yet. There hasn't been any debate on it. So there hasn't been any enforcement arm. There hasn't been any policy that say, retailers should follow set guidelines. So right now it's just a policy, and I think it's a goodwill gesture on the government side. So I think retailers should show the same goodwill to the consumers.
Then I'll take everything back. I thought it was an actual law. No.
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay, then this is all a moot issue.
Policy, and it's only related to custom.
Mhm.
So I'm glad at least you open up the dialogue for this discussion,
Yeah.
because it's a hot topic right now.
yeah.
So are we all misunderstood that it's actually a law that's been passed?
It's not. It's not a law.
I heard that the head of customs was brought back from his leave to do this.
Okay.
Well, the custom department said it revealed that it's a new policy that is not in effect yet. So
Okay, thank you so much.
no problem.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Okay. So we have a text. Let me see if I could go to that text and read.
You're going to the text. I couldn't hit any text earlier.
Good night. It's a good thing for the people in Anegada about the ferry service. Definitely, I would.
New ferry service?
Yeah, the new ferry service.
Who is it?
I understand that we're going to have ferry service more frequent to Anegada
Okay.
as a result of the new service that is going to be provided. I think the people of Anegada will be happy for that. We have a call on the line. Yes, good evening. You're free to speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Yes, good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Yes, I'm calling reference to the cop fight.
Could you turn your television? Could you turn your television set down? We're getting some feedback.
Yeah. I'm calling reference to the cop fight.
Okay.
About 2 weeks back, the police came down and shut down the cop fight, saying it's illegal. We had a meeting recently with the Deputy Commissioner of Police, and we informed him that Mr. Webb, the former Deputy Commissioner, gave us permission with the stipulations that if any incidents whatsoever that the police have to respond to, it will be closed down. Now the cop fight has been going on for the past 11 years, incident-free.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, the Deputy Commissioner decided to shut it down. He said it's illegal. So he had a meeting with us about 2 weeks ago, and we inquired, why did you decide to shut us down all of a sudden? He said, about the complaints. We said, what complaints? He said, a large gathering of people. So we asked him, well, if black people cannot gather anymore. He said it's not his problem, it's illegal. So we draw reference to what about the strip clubs? What about the houses where you buy, you check the girls? Those are illegal too. What about the ladies up and out selling tickets, pushing up in your face? That's illegal too. He said that's not his problem. So to me, he's biased in some way. If what goes for one goes for all, if you're going to shut down a cockfight, we never had a problem in a cockfight for 11 years. It's like anything. Oh, and a police officer even tipped me off and said the reason that the cockfight had to be closed because too much traffic travels on the Common Club Road every Sunday. The guests at the Common Club said there's too much traffic on their road. I wasn't aware that they own the road in Common Club going down into Josiah's Bay. So I am confused. It's like any particular incident that his nephew. A police officer nephew owns that strip club, and it's illegal, but yet still it was open the next night. So I really don't understand what kind of bias the police force holds against certain people. I just do not understand. I would like some clarification on that, guys. If you guys could help me out with this matter, because I'm just confused. I am so confused.
Well, you seem like you have a legitimate complaint that you probably should take to the Police Service Commission and see if you could get some redress, because this is a little beyond our show.
Yeah, but in reference, he said no complaints was made about the strip club. So I said I'm making a formal complaint now to you, Mr. Deputy Commissioner. I'm making a formal complaint about the strip clubs. We had recent deaths. He said that's not his problem. So I don't know. I just do not know. If the cop fights is illegal, if the strip clubs are illegal, the whole house is illegal, shut down all. The ladies selling tickets are illegal. You cannot be biased in your approach. And what goes for one goes for all. Am I not correct, sir?
No, well, the police say they're going to protect and serve all of us. So.
Oh, yeah, but with certain circumstances, by what they pick and choose.
I don't
understand.
I think you have a legitimate complaint that you should take up with the Police Service Commission.
You had a chance to talk to the police chief?
I spoke with the Deputy Commissioner. They had a meeting with us. This is what I'm saying now. He said in a meeting. This is not that anyone told me.
No, he's asking you if you had a chance to speak with the commissioner himself.
Oh, no, he was not available. So they say.
Well,
we thought we was going to meet him in the meeting. Instead, we got the Deputy Commissioner.
Okay.
So the Deputy Commissioner came out. He came by himself. He had other officers with him.
He had one or two other officers. One of the same officers in reference I'm talking about, Mr. Alvin James. That's the uncle to the nephew that owns the Crystal nightclub.
Well, you know,
he was present.
Have you written a formal complaint? I mean, it's illegal. Let's be real, right?
Yeah.
Let's be real about that. It's illegal. But you feel like as if your rights are being trampled because they're discriminating against you and turning a blind eye to other illegal activities. We have a complaint commissioner. Have you had a chance to write a letter to him? Write a formal complaint to him?
Well, what those guys kind of depressed me in the meeting. The Deputy Commissioner and his other guys. They said it's illegal and that's it. We don't want to hear anything. That's it. That's the last word. I was so appalled. Oh my God.
But you have other recourses. We're just suggesting to you maybe you need to take other recourses.
Yeah, we definitely do. But I'm just letting you know about the biasness that we're facing in our own islands that our ancestors fight so hard for. It's a biased matter.
But you mentioned ticket sales. I didn't know ticket sales were illegal. I thought they were legal.
They are
They
illegal.
are illegal, sir. But the police officers benefit from them. They buy the most tickets. So it's not a problem in their eyes, yes?
So you can't make those kind of accusations on air unless you have proven evidence.
This is what I see every day, sir.
You've seen it yourself. You've seen police officers buy tickets.
Every day.
But what I'm saying is, there are other avenues that you can make your complaint. It's true that you're speaking on a live show, but there are other avenues that you can make your complaint where it would be more beneficial to you.
Yeah, well, I'm just letting the public know what's going on. Because
Okay.
a lot of them are blind. They don't know what's going on in this little island.
But why is cockfighting illegal? They do it in Puerto Rico. They do it in St. Thomas, St. Martin. Why is it illegal?
There's no specific law saying cockfight is directed to cockfight. They say animal cruelty.
Cruelty to animals.
Yeah, and that's like horse racing as well. You beat the life out of a horse. I haven't even that was even brought up in the meeting. We said horse racing is illegal as well. He said, not in his eyes. Okay, he said the trade licenses for the horse race and they pay tax, etc., etc. I guess, as you can see, I guess the horse racing, the police officers get the security job, but the cockfights, they don't get any security jobs. So if they wanted a security job at the cockfights, they could have asked. Yeah,
Okay.
that's my opinion.
So what's the next step for you?
This is what I'm looking for feedback from you guys. I'm kind of lost right now.
My best advice to you is write a letter, a formal letter to the Complaint Commission, because if you, and also, you know, I tell people, no, listen, if you're gonna bring any type of complaint against anybody, you gotta prove it. So, you know, if you see other illegal activities that you want to parallel with what they say was illegal in the cockfighting, start videotaping it. Anytime you see police officers, custom officers, immigration officers, law enforcement buying lotto ticket, take a couple pictures. So when you send your complaint in, you got hard evidence. Nobody can deny the evidence. That's the best thing I could tell you is do that first. You know what I mean? Document the information. Don't just do it one day.
Yeah,
do it over a series of time.
Yeah. Or else when you speak the way you're speaking, you'll be just making loose acquisitions. You know, you'd be and it wouldn't be able to you wouldn't be able to substantiate what you're saying.
Point well taken, sir.
Yeah. All right. Another thing, right? You have 5 district representatives representing you. You ever thought of taking this up with any of them?
Well, we're in the process of negotiations, having a meeting with a few of the district representatives. All right? But we're going to see what's going to happen out of that, because it looks like a uphill battle right now. I mean, it's been going on, like the shift comes, et cetera, et cetera. It's been going on for years. All right? It's been going on for years. Mr. Webb gave them permission. As long as there's no incident, the police have to respond to no incident. Now, all of a sudden, you remember we were fighting cops last year. We were fighting cops the year before. Why? This is always saying, why all of a sudden
I know.
the deputy commissioner decide to come and close the cockfights?
I know a little bit about your trade. You also have persons from other islands that bring game here to the BVI as well.
The guys from St. Martin come, St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix. It generates revenue. Those guys spend money in the hotels. They go to the bars. They spend money.
Yeah.
But I guess it's not. How do they put it?
It's not documented.
Yeah.
Well, Carla.
That's unfair. It's kind of unfair when you look at it. Why all of a sudden they just decide to close the cockfight? There's a lot of guys that invested in these cocks. You understand?
Yes.
These cocks cost money. You have to get them trained. You have to get them the medicine. It's a long process. A lot of guys spend a lot of money into. Oh, and we even asked him, what about the guys that has 50 cocks, that has this amount of cocks, that has this amount of cocks? What must we do with them? He said that's not his problem. That's what the deputy commissioner said. That's not my problem. Oh my God.
Carla, let me ask you one quick question. When the deputy commissioner and them came to address you guys' concern, question one, did they give you anything in writing that say whatever the law may be, you might be breaking or whatever? And also,
they didn't even have the law. We went to the meeting with the necessary laws. They didn't produce anything. As far as I'm concerned,
Not a piece of paper?
Sorry?
Not a piece of paper?
They didn't have anything in their hands. We provided the laws that's been in effect from 1934, 76 years ago. This law was made 76 years ago.
so why didn't you
They
guys?
didn't even have a piece of passport to say, et cetera, et cetera. They just spoke, it's illegal, and you guys better stop.
Yeah, but
if we
then,
have another incident where we have to respond, we're going to confiscate cocks, we're going to make arrests. That's how we sound, yeah.
well, let me ask, the last police commissioner, Mr. Barry Webb, did he give you guys anything in writing?
I'm not sure. I have to contact the necessary personnel in reference to that.
Okay, let's look at that.
The necessary person, she was in the meeting as well, and she stated what was done between she and Mr. Barry Webb. And the commissioner said that is none of his business. He was not here. He is here now, and what he said basically goes. Yeah.
So let me ask you this then. Let me make one quick suggestion. Right?
Sure.
What I would do if I were you guys, I would try to form an association to form a legitimate body of cock owners, full cock owners, and so forth. And then what I would do, you guys have a little bit of money, pool your money together, get a smart lawyer, and start petitioning the government to maybe making it legal. Because really and truly you're fighting a battle that it's still an illegal act on the books, so the cops they're gonna do whatever they want to do because they got the law to support them in this incident and turn a blind eye to something else. So why don't you guys fight to make it legal?
government with turning the blind eye. What goes for one goes for all.
Well, then don't focus on that. Focus on how you can now lobby the government. You got 5 representatives. That's half the battle right there. Change the law. Present a reasonable argument to the politician why cockfighting is not inhumane to animals. It's not cruel treatment to animals. It's a sport that's practiced in many different Caribbean islands, so it could tie it into tourism, you know. So you guys could present a really good argument why this is a good thing, because I know St. Martin, you got people coming from Anguilla, St. Kitts, bringing their cocks into St. Martin, vice versa. You know, so it brings revenue. So the same with the guys who are fighting for drag racing, you know, whatever sports tourism, you guys could present a nice argument and see if we can get the laws changed, and then, you know, the battle's won.
Are you up? So can I hire you to defend me, please?
All right, Carla. Thanks very much.
Thanks for
I
calling.
think you've made your point.
All right, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
That caller was funny. Good man.
Yeah.
Good man.
He wants to hire you. Well, we have another call. Let's go straight to it. Good evening. You're free to speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Yeah, Courtney,
Yes, sir.
this country, due to white country, we live in, will not serious revolution. The call is right by far. And let me tell you something. Since I was a little boy, I know great and stout selling my mother lottery ticket. And that over 40 years. Okay? It's illegal. Nobody touch it. The House of Assembly, you could step from there and throw a stone on the whole house, what we call it. And everybody that will know it. It ain't no guessing, it ain't no feeling, they know.
Brothel.
They know what goes on there.
Okay.
It's illegal too. Okay? The first set of strippers come to the BVI on 92. And I used to collect at the door.
Okay.
And people got the radio and talk all kind of thing, but the husband go there and there be this and that happen. Okay? Nobody touch it. It's illegal. Woman dancing naked. They said woman in that toilet. But it still goes on. And went to the same strip club in Fremantle. I was sitting there. Me asking nobody, I said them say. I see a woman go up on the counter with a G-string. When she done, she turned around and she danced naked. Naked is she born. And man all about putting money in her socks and all kind of thing. No wrong woman stand up. That's illegal. Okay? This country will have serious revolution. You see my walk up to government, their house be gun in them hand. Me you sit on our TV and see 3 days a riot in California with Rodney King. The police got a man on the ground beating him with stick. When they done, they said the police ain't nothing to do, police, they're nothing, they wrong. 3 days away. Okay? This country will have serious revolution. Okay? If you want to close down the car fight, close down the strip club, close down the exotic dancing, close down the whole house, stop selling lottery tickets. Okay? If it's a law for illegal thing, they gotta be everybody. Don't touch some illegal. It's going to serious revolution in this country. So I said that. I'm waiting to see what it will happen. Thank you.
Carla, before you go.
Yeah.
I hear the passion in your voice, right? And I know where you're coming from. But all I want to say is let's not advocate violence. What we could do, we are smart people. Laws are meant to change. We could change them. We could put people we want in to get the laws we want to support whatever it is we want to support. I'm not advocating that we support bad things, but if you feel cockfighting is a viable source of income and it could stimulate the economy, you know, help tourism, then let's put an argument for that. Let's put a good sound argument. Let's sit down with our politician and let's present that argument. So therefore, the politician has no choice but to listen to us. It's the same thing with the strip clubs. Now let's be real. I'm a traveler, you a traveler, we all travel, we all know. I'm in the transportation business. I drive people on daily who come to this country. At the end of the night when they finish having a meal, guess what they want to do? They want to go to the strip club. The politicians have noticed. That's why they ain't going to touch them. They notice because that $50 million, that $10 million that I just dropped at the strip club, they know who that person is. They don't want to touch that. So therefore, you got a viable argument. The caller before you got a good argument. Let's put that argument into writing so we can get what we need done.
Yeah, but then what I'm saying, they said a cockfight is illegal. They close them down. Close them, all of them. If you touch one, touch all. If you're going to leave one, leave all of them. Because if they know electricity selling Tatola, and money go out country every week, it's illegal. Why jump on the cockfight and leave the electricity? Why jump on the cockfight and leave the whole house? Why jump on the cockfight and leave the strip club? Come on, wake up, man, for God's sake. See you.
All right, caller.
All right, caller.
Thank you.
Speak your mind.
We have a couple of texts. Let's see if we could get to them before we get the next call. It says most of the victimization are done by Christian people. For example, the premier, the head of the immigration and immigration board are all Christian, but people are here 30 plus years with children and grandchildren born here and can't get residence, while people who just make 20 years already got residence. That's the Christian way. Now, Sam, we're going to take a break because we have these sponsors that make this show possible. So we're going to take a break and we're going to be right back, but we're going to come back and touch on those topics. So don't move that dial. We'll be right back.
Hi, I am Tanisha Harrigan Scott, and I am here to bring you some exciting news from Digicel. Now you can talk more and text more for only $15. A great new price plan from Digicel, the bigger, better network. Have you heard? When you top up $15 or more, you get incredible deals with Digicel. Get 100 free minutes, unlimited SMS, and free weekends for 7 days to local Digicel numbers. Top up $15 again, and it will automatically be extended for another 7 days. For more information, drop by our store or visit our website at www.digicelbbi.com. Digicel terms and conditions apply.
Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're right back with the Speak Your Mind show, and we're right here. We're handling the hard issues. We have a call that just came in, so we're going to go straight to the call. Good evening. You're free to speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Yes, good night, Courtney, Mr. Henry, Lewis here again. I'm kind of astounded. The question I want to ask is, if next year Michael Vick retires, regarding raising funds for the BVI, if Michael Vick retires from football and moves to the BVI, should he or anybody else be granted a trade license to conduct dog fighting?
Well, if it's a policy of the government and if it's legal, sure. But if it's not, one of the things we have to come to grips with is laws are made to regulate the population, and that population decides or should be involved in what laws are made for that population. We can make any laws, but the laws have to be specific to the particular population.
Isn't there a difference between, even in our country, a difference between right and wrong besides the almighty dollar?
Well, Carl, let me ask you a question.
Aren't there principles of humanity?
Carl, let me ask you this. In some countries of the world, is dog considered food and natural food for that country?
In some countries.
In some countries it is, right?
They eat the insides of everything. That has nothing to do with the BVI and having...
Exactly. So you draw a parallel between the U.S. in the BVI, and now you're telling
I
me
did not-
that another
not-
country that embraced dog eating doesn't have anything to do with your question?
Parallel between the U.S. and the BVI. I just asked if a man who is convicted, okay, of conducting dog fighting, and I used him because he's a public figure, moved here to the BVI after he finished his professional career, should he not, if we change the laws, or the government decide to change the laws, should he right here, or anybody else, be allowed to have dog fighting to the death, cruelty to animals to the death?
If the laws were changed, if the laws were changed in the BVI to allow dog fighting,
or tomorrow.
if the laws were changed in the BVI to allow dog fighting or cockfighting or horse racing or any other thing that some people who love animals, and I love animals, decide it's cruelty, if the laws were changed to allow that, anybody who apply and qualify should be able to get a license. But let me draw something to your
If
attention.
the government decided to use the guillotine, all right?
Whoever they decide to give it to, whether it's him or me or you.
No, I'm just talking about in general. Well, let's not be absurd about it with the government will change the laws. Let's talk about the beauty of the people of the BVI, humanity, right and wrong. If that's all I'm asking.
Yeah, but you're asking two questions. You're asking a moral question, you're asking a question of law. Your first question was a matter of law. If the laws were changed and somebody like Michael Vick, who was convicted, right, moved to the BVI and applied for a trade license to conduct dog fighting, should he be granted? That was your question, correct?
He or anybody else. Tomorrow. It's tomorrow. Next week. Not if the law is the way the laws are now, he wouldn't be granted the trade license. Do you support that? Are we going to support this kind of stuff here at the BVI? Just for the almighty dollar to raise some revenue? Aren't there so many other ways? You're in the transportation business. You're in the tourism business. I speak to you every week at Village Key. I just don't understand why you would think that this would be an acceptable way of raising revenue in the BVI.
Well, hold on a second.
Suppose the government, and I don't want to offend anybody, suppose there was a law change where they allowed child prostitution. I mean, what's going on that we're even thinking about this?
I want you to have something to think about. And I want you to do a little homework. At the time when Michael Vick was being prosecuted in Georgia, right? It was in Georgia, correct?
Yes.
At the time, the same time, there was a story coming out of Florida. There was a Supreme Court judge, not the highest court, but the Third Circuit or something like that, out of Florida. He flew from Florida to New Jersey, I believe it was, to go engage in sex with a young child. It was an FBI sting at the same time, right? So all the people, their attention was on Michael Vick. Yes, and I agree with you. It's illegal, it was wrong, it was bad, he was fighting dogs, right? But here it is. People are putting humanity, since you bring in humanity, the protection of a child was being solicited for sex, and this man flew. And this is a man who was putting people away at the time for doing the same thing that he was flying to New Jersey to do, and nobody covered that. But the most important thing was dog fighting. Michael Vick was fighting dogs. Carla, if the laws change in the BVI, and there's folks who are advocating cockfighting, right now we eat chicken, and if they decide, the laws decide to change the system in the BVI, and those guys want to have a legalized cockpit, I don't see anything wrong with that. They do it in other parts in the world. They eat dogs in other parts in the world. You eat beef every day, and if you go to India tomorrow, that's illegal, and you would probably be stoned for trying to kill somebody's cow. But then you would say, hey, it's moral, it's good for you.
Let me just cut you because we're getting way off. I would just hope that the people of the BVI would have, whether it's this government, the next government, a government 15 years down the road, would have more humanity than to pass a law to advocate cruelty to animals. under those terms. Forget that Tyson Chickens raises 1 billion chickens to be eaten. I'm talking about...
That's animal cruelty. That's animal cruelty. You eat chicken every day.
Sam, okay.
That's animal cruelty, and you eat chicken every day.
I'm expressing my opinion.
And speak your mind.
And I'm speaking my mind. I'll think about what you said, but like I said, I think that and hope that the people of the BVI and the governments of the BVI would never down the road vote or express this type of inhumanity and feelings towards animals.
Before you go, I want to leave this with you. A few years ago, before the laws were changed in the BVI, before we got the UK passport, the people of the BVI didn't want to see gays and lesbians walking around the street here holding hands and kissing in public. Hold on. We didn't want to see that. But you know what today? You know what England told us? Hold on, Carla. You know what England told us today? Under their rules, that's acceptable in England, and we should deal with it here. And guess what? Now we have to open our eyes to that. That's the way life is going, my friend.
I gotta go. We'll have this conversation next time I see you.
I'll see you at Village Key.
Okay, my brother. Okay.
But Sam, I hope you were able to let our viewers out there know that we're living in a cosmopolitan Virgin Islands now.
It's changing, my friend. It's
not the same. It's not the same Virgin Islands. Good evening. You speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Yeah, good night. How are you doing?
Well, we're doing fine. How about you?
I'm pretty alright. In reference to cars that were made before,
okay.
I have a question. What's the legal age of drinking in the BVI?
As far as I know, it's 21.
Now, when you start to jeopardize what we have going on, I'm one of the car owners, and I've been doing it since I'm in high school. I've been out of high school 20 years.
Okay.
I also have land down at Joseph Beach, by the road. The problem I'm seeing, when people associate down by mulligans, and you have all them the children are down there drinking, nobody runs down there and take advantage of that, go down there and stop them from underage drinking on a regular basis.
Teeny boppers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But when we as black people, I'll have to say, associate together, they don't like to see that. When you're talking 300 people together, 200, why you say they want to be getting on about this whole situation about cafe? Because every day you turn around, police officers get passing me with tint on a vehicle that illegal. You're going down the road, they stop you for seatbelt, they don't have on none. But as soon as I would have to say that next color person calling the police station, they're telling you straight up they want to know what's going on with you. Because somebody could we call emancipation time, we could have come together as one. Now we coming together, it's a problem. And the funny thing about it is that when you see they call for the chief, they get a chief. But when we went down there to a meeting, they lock out most of us. And they pull in who they want to leave out the rest of us. But why it is that when I go down to see my chief of police, my commissioner, I have to keep seeing the deputy. Why can't I see my chief of police? It seems like he has those say in this country. When we put our people in strategic position to help us, we want to see them. I don't want to see second in command or third in command. This is a problem we have in here in the BVI all the time. Because we've been doing this, as I said, from high school, I am almost 40 years old.
Okay.
Well, it is now that I have to come back here and got this problem because, a certain group of people don't like to see black people together or all people together. That's wrong.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you. Good night.
Well, thank you for your input. Sam, we're getting a lot of diverse views on this topic. You know, people are weighing in on both sides of the discussion.
Well, I respect what the caller was saying. You know, I hear what he's trying to say. But what I'm trying to say is that in this country we have so many conflicts.
Yeah.
You know, gambling as a whole is illegal, and this is one of the things they were telling these guys who were fighting cocks almost every Sunday. But you know, down at Mulligan's in Nanny Key, at least twice a year we have gambling, and it's embraced by the communities down there.
Hold up for a minute. We have a call. Good evening. You speak your mind. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Courtney. Before I do what I said earlier,
Yes, sir.
You see where we have problem in the BPI? Those churches said they don't want no gambling in the horse track. The churches, you know.
Yes.
Now, you're telling me that man so is acceptable in our country. God made man and a woman. He made Adam and Eve. And ain't no human being on the face of the earth could change the Bible. It ain't a man and a woman and woman. It's a man and a woman. Okay? And them two should marry. It should be not double sex married and not same sex married. One. Number two, gambling is legal. If it is legal on the racetrack, it is legal all over. They don't want a racetrack. But they set $1,000 down on the cap price. That's illegal. Prostitution is legal. As far as I know, prostitution legal in 2 countries, Holland and France. And they got to go get doctor regularly, and they have a ring on the foot with stamp identify what it is. Okay? So I'm saying again and again, they better change and they better wake up. That's what I'm got a lot of problem down the road. A lot of problem. Okay? Close down them, don't touch one and leave all, you'll create a lot of problem.
Okay.
And this one, now you tell me prostitution in worse than that gambling in Talmucha? Eh? I want to tell her about it. I want dancing naked for man peeping up and I put money in her top in a strip club. Eh? That's low woman standard, that's low moral. A man and a woman, 2 men married and 2 unmarried, that's a disgrace. That's what God destroyed Solomon and Gomorrah for. When he tells me to build an ark, he said, the sins of the people reach him to his nostril, and he will destroy them. And now Sam was say that England said, we must go along with lesbian and homosexual. That's garbage.
Right.
One rule I have, the Bible and what Jesus Christ said, he coming back to this world, and when he come over beyond to half of us. That's why we are telling you that. So you come to know what England say, what England say. The Bible talk about what he wants. He tells you to build an ark because the sins of the people reach him to his nostril and you go destroy them. So you go sit up and talk. Lock up all of them. You want to kill the people up? Every one of them close them down. Not half, and leave some.
All right. Thank you for your input again. So, I'm going to see if I could read some of these texts, Sam. We get
You got a lot.
Yeah. Can't get to them. We got another call. Good evening. You're free to speak your mind. Go ahead, please.
Hi, good evening. In reference to kind of earlier, what makes some concern about the white folks, when the white kids having a party and they're having a good time, everything seems to be animal. But when the black folks having a party and, people tend to look at it in a negative way.
Okay.
No, my whole concern with his thought is that when the black folks come together, having a drink, no one is for them, but the own people does it. We own people does it. When the white folks having a party or having a drink, then, it is a friendly get-together. But you see, we black people don't seem to understand something. Now, I'm not being racist, but sometimes you can't help to think the way things happen. We own black people usually wants to contribute order and create this type of confusion.
Well,
I do thank you, and I'm sure you guys could shed some light on it. Thank you, brother.
all right, thank you. Sam, that's reminded me of one of the people that watched the show that said to me one time, he said he was having a little Christmas party and the neighbors called the police on him and they closed his party down and he was really upset. Things like that could happen. When you live in a neighborhood, there's a certain decorum in the neighborhood that you live in that you have to respect. We're gonna get back to that. We're gonna get back to that as well. Good evening. You've reached Speak Your Mind. Go right ahead, please.
Hi. Good evening.
Good evening.
I just wanted to say that I agree with the man and the gambling story. I mean, you can't allow gambling in some places and you're witnessing it going on. And I do agree with the thing that a man is not for a man. You mean God made Adam and Eve, and I just think I agree with a man, right? And I think that the government needs to enforce some of these things because you're taking it as a joke because you're letting it in some places and it's not like nobody knows what's going on.
You need to change that "are you" and say "we."
Right, we. So.
But just to remind you, right, that laws are made to govern people, and we are the people. We the people need to express this to the legislative people and let them know what we want and what we don't want. Don't just take anything for granted. We are living in a more cosmopolitan place than ever before. There are 190-something different people living in this country now. It's not the same. It's totally different. And Sam was drawing the reference that what happens in another country could be legal here and illegal in another country, and vice versa. Something that's illegal here could be legal in another country. So when laws are made to govern people, we, the people who are being governed, have to express ourselves to the persons that are making the laws and say, these are the types of laws that we want. This is the type of moral standard that we want.
I agree.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your input. So Sam, we're still here, and we haven't had a chance to read many of the texts, but we're going to go back to the phone. Good evening. You've reached Speak Your Mind. Go right ahead, please.
Hello?
Yes, you're live on Speak Your Mind.
Yes, good evening, guys.
Good evening.
Good night.
Well, in reference to the cockfight, the long and short of the story is the people from the Tamil Club say that these guys interrupt their brunch on their way down to the Josiah's Bay Fall Pit, and that has to stop. That's all it was. And the deputy commissioner was there with them. That's his people. So he decided, hey, guys, let's rally the troops and put an end to this cockfight because they said there's too much traffic on their road. Key word is their road. I was not aware that I swear it was a public road to Josiah's Bay. They categorized the road as their road, like they own the strip of pavement going into Josiah's Bay all the way to Tamil Club and beyond. I must be confused. I must be living in some different part of the world. They own the road. Do you imagine that?
I hear you loud and clear.
And your response is?
Cockfighting is illegal. Try to make it legal.
Say enough, it's illegal.
Try to make it legal.
Illegal. Everything is illegal. What goes for the goose is good for the gander, buddy.
Cockfighting is illegal. When you see people conducting other illegal activities, report them. Document it so you can have a sound case when you fight your case. I don't go cockfighting, so I don't want anybody to think that I advocate in cockfight. It just never interests me. I don't watch dogfight. It never interests me. But again, I believe that the world is so big now. What we hear squabbling over, other people are just passing by every day. What other people squabble over, we try to hold dear to our heart. So this is a good little country. We don't want to spoil it by things that are going to spoil it. So if cockfighting is going to spoil a society, I think you should stop it. But if you think you could benefit and other people can benefit and the country can benefit, present an argument for that.
I think strip clubs spoil the country. They kill youths, as you can see previously a few weeks back. They killed a youth. A young guy was shot outside the strip clubs. I didn't hear anything about that.
Yeah, but it wasn't a strip club.
But they rallying against the cockfights. When they know, let's not even go there, buddy. I'm fed up. You guys have a good night, yeah.
All right, thank you very much for your call, though.
He did. Cockfight, gambling, illegal gambling, what's happening in the country, that's plaguing the country right now.
Good evening, you've reached Speak Your Mind. Go right ahead, please.
Yes, good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm loving the debate, for sure.
Okay.
Happy, but one thing I'm not feeling from you, brothers, the response you're giving to the people, you're bringing it up, Miley. I think we need to direct our people in their frustrations now to the people that they have recently voted and put in place to represent us.
But you didn't hear us talking about the 5 representatives? That's what we were talking about?
Yeah, but I wanted to individually, when you're suggesting to the people, write the letter to the complaints commissioner, no, tell them go to your representative and put the matter before him. Put them on the hot seat. This is the time now when we could prove that we are not hypocrites and that we are true representatives of people. Let our representatives sort this thing out and decide what direction we are taking. Put it in their hands. Don't make no excuse. Put them on the hot seat. Because that's one point. That's one point. I'm sorry to detract from the beautiful dialogue, but I have an issue that I need to comment on. I live in Virgin Island. I live in the 9th district.
You go right ahead.
Yes?
You go right ahead.
Yes. And I work a lot with the Byros Creek Hotel and the institution before. I worked for the new institution there from the beginning of their tenure. And it hurts me a lot to hear our premier gets up and tell the people that Byros Creek Hotel is now better off than it was before. I want to ask the Premier personally to apologize to the people of the 9th District who work for that institution. And each and every one of them know that that institution was 10 times better than it is now. The hotel is not even advertised. Occupancy is down. And listen what the management is doing. They're running a multifaceted business. They're bringing their overseas clients from their other cooperation and bases, putting them to stay in the hotel and making our people serve them without gratuity. This is morally wrong. And I want to ask my Premier to address these things, please. Represent our people. And not the investors are coming in. We want...
You got, I'm sorry you got disconnected. I don't know what happened. You may have to
Call us back, caller. Call us back.
Call us
Good.
back. Call us back. I'll take the opportunity to go and try and read some text.
That caller right there is touching on something important. The caller said 2 things. The first thing he said is about representation. And I would advise that caller there to call for forums, call for public forums with the community and involve the politician them.
The four representatives for each area. The 5 representatives. There are 4 at-large representatives for each area
district.
and 1 district. And you can engage them. One of the texts saying, why all this talk about justifying or arguments about what's more wrong? Cockfight is illegal, bottom line. It's one of the texts that came in. Please verify the legal age of drinking. I think it is 16 years old. I don't think so. I think it's 21. Sam, killing to eat fowls or animals is not cruelty to them. Biblically, Jesus advocated when he directed Paul to kill and eat. Fighting animals to their death is cruelty. Remember this saying, woeful waste brings woeful want. Sam,
thank you.
I like this show. What is the man name? Which man name? Good night. I think the government should tax gambling and cockfighting because that is what the young man and woman would do and also slow down crime and theft. I see no problem with it. I personally think they should allow it. See, I'm saying they're both sides of the fence, and you know,
the argument is good, man. The argument is good. People want to have a discussion.
People want to have a discussion, and I agree with you, Sam. Open forum.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of community centers. They're locked up most of the time.
I wish that caller had a chance to finish.
He's probably still listening. He's probably still listening. We have from Anegada to Josh Van Dyke. We have community centers.
Yes.
And we're going to take this last call. Yeah. Good evening. You're free to speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Apparently, there's a mix-up in the numbers on the screen because I'm calling the number that says text. The number that says call apparently wasn't going through.
Okay.
We'll address
that. Let me go ahead with my comment. Going back to the caller who called earlier talking about this thing about marrying men, etc. This whole the whole world actually is going down. I mean, prophecy is just fulfilling because what is happening is that if people will stick with what the Bible says, there'll be less trouble in this earth. Because people believe in evolution, for example. This is man-made.
Okay, but you know where this whole thing comes from, right? This is what we call imperial legislation. Is legislation that was handed down to us by the UK government.
True.
And
yes, you're talking about that thing that the UK is passing down.
No, they already did it. This is not now. This is from when the passport was
Since 2000.
when we got the access to the UK passport.
Okay.
Buggery. There was another one. There was two of them that they dealt with at the same time. Anyways, homosexuality is one of them that they dealt with as well.
Okay, so it appears to be that in a little time just now we'll have to fall in line.
A little time? No, in imperial legislation it takes effect immediately.
Okay. Well, like I was saying, it's prophecy fulfilling, and it's actually going to be for the ruin of humankind, because from very long in history, if you read all the history books, you will see where even today, the Pope, a lot of people reverence the Pope, and the Pope has been responsible for a lot of things that are not. Even the Pope is compromising the standard, and the very people in the Catholic Church are wondering what's going on with the Pope, because the Pope, who apparently used to have standard, now is compromising with this whole gay thing. The Pope just recently was in the news because he met some gentleman who seemed to be a nice guy, whatever. He talked to him, and then all of a sudden he's embracing the gay thing. The man is probably was engaged to marry another man, and here is it now he's bringing it down to the people in the church. So I mean, man is fallible, but God cannot make a mistake. So really and truly, because men choose to worship man, and they wouldn't follow the dust of the Lord, is why this world will be in a state. So even if it's England pass it down.
Carl, I just thought on the other thing. The other thing was the death penalty. That was the next thing. We had to get rid of that. We had to get rid of the death penalty as well.
The death penalty?
Yes.
The hanging.
We
used to hang
England wants to bring that back into?
No. England told us we had to get rid of the one we had.
We had to get rid of it. That's right. Yeah.
We had to conform to everything they were doing there.
America has a thing about human rights, and everything from America filters down here.
Well, Carla, listen.
Humans do have rights, but I mean, I don't know.
But Carla, it's not just America. Listen, just last year we had 3 ladies here in Tortola that was here to educate the general public on implementation of human rights. A human rights bill that's in the Constitution, and how local laws should conform and be in unison, in sync with the international human rights. A lot of what we're experiencing now. This is what I was trying to bring to the caller without trying to dismiss his argument. His argument was sound. We believe that we live in a moral setting here in the BVI, right? You advocating that right now. Not all of us see things the way you see it.
Right.
But as far as where we stand, most of our laws that govern the way we live now is coming from England. Whatever you see happening in England, they're telling us now if we're going to be part of them and accept the UK passport and the citizenship and now become full citizens of the United Kingdom and Great Britain and Northern Ireland, that whatever they accept there, we are supposed to accept that as well. Before we didn't, whether it was a law or not, we didn't want to see certain things happening in this country.
Right.
But now we don't have any choice. And this is what I was saying to the other caller. We don't have any choice in the matter now. Because they give us a piece of paper and say that's how you're supposed to live. It's just like the bond here, where you're from is where you're born is where you're from. The United States and other places in the world, you born there, that's where you're from. Whether you get your full rights immediately or not, that's where you're from. Why do we have all these complicated laws in the Nationality Act of 1981, 1983? Why do we have all this nonsense about your father, your mother, your sister, your brother? If a child born in the BVI, he should be a BVI. If a child born in England, he should be a UK citizen. Point blank. Why do we allow? Why? Because England is trying to protect themselves. The indigenous Englishman trying to protect himself, because when he released all these other territories, remember now, those in Hong Kong that they dominated for so many years, in India that they dominated for so many years, the children, the offspring of those people are saying, well, you govern us, why don't we have the rights now to move to England or move wherever we want if we're all part of the same system? Why do I have to accept certain laws, but then you're telling me, well, my child is born after 1983, will determine whether or not he's a citizen based on his mother or his father or whatever? That's foolishness.
Yeah,
you understand?
I believe in America is getting a kind of tight in terms of, because people could go there and get their children, then they...
You still can. You still can.
They even are getting tight. We too have to protect ourselves.
But they should.
These islanders are concerned that we're being outnumbered in terms of people that are living here who are not necessarily born here. You know, these are all the concerns.
But we're not outnumbered. I want to say something before the show finish. You know, we have a lot of kids out here right now, and this has been a big topic of discussion this whole week with different folks. A lot of people are focusing on these kids that are trying to get jobs, that the ministry is trying to help to move into becoming productive citizens, right? Many of those kids, if you were to ask them, they're probably kids from parents who are not from the BVI. But those kids are BVI lenders. Those kids, their loyalties to this country. So even though we have a few people, and I would tell people, stop running St. Thomas in United States and Puerto Rico to have these welfare babies. That's what they are. That's why you're going there. You're looking for a welfare check. And guess what? It is getting tighter. You can have your child born right here in the BVI and grow the population here. We need our children here. We need our population here to grow here and be loyalists to this country, be nationalists to this country, not someplace else. And why do we have people in this country walking around bragging about they have 2 and 3 passports and serving in our government? Why do we have that?
That's another big concern.
We'll hit it the next time.
But Carla, we have to wrap up the show. But thank you very much for your input.
My privilege.
All right.
Of course, that's a big problem right there. We're gonna have to address that one day.
One show.
Yeah.
One show we're gonna have to address that. We've been asked to wrap up the show though, because as you know, we just have so much fun and Sam. I don't even realize that the time is going by.
The phone ain't gonna stop, you know.
And take a last call though. Good evening. You speak your mind. Go right ahead, please. You have to be quick because we're about to wrap up the show.
Hi. Good night.
Good night.
I'm a little offended by that statement that was just made by your guest, your co-host, saying that that families go to the U.S. to have welfare babies. I'll be the first one to say, and I know that there are other families out there who feel the same way. We do not trust people's hospitals. We do not trust the confidentiality of the workers there.
Okay.
So if we, the privacy and all of that sort of stuff, that's the number one reason that I went to the U.S. to have my baby.
Well, in addition to that, there's some complications that women have sometimes that forces them to go elsewhere to have deliveries as well. And also too, don't forget that you have a right to have dual nationality if you so desire as well.
Yeah, we know, but it wasn't just for welfare. I had my children there, but I live in the BVI, I pay my taxes, I feed, I clothe, I educate my children here. I've never been back to the U.S. to request any help for my kids.
There are a lot of other people like you, my dear. Don't feel anywhere.
All right, good night.
All right, good night. Sam, we had a good show. That's why I could say we definitely touched on a number of things. We started out talking about the change in duty measures, and we talked with our viewing public out there about the fact that we've been paying for insurance and what's the other one? Insurance and something else we've been paying for. We've been paying for insurance
and wharfage.
Well, the wharfage you're going to still have to pay for, and shipping. We've been paying duty
on shipping
and insurance, and we're hoping that whole scenario gets rectified somewhere along the line. And the government is looking into it, so we can say the government is working for the people. One of the callers that came in mentioned what about the gasoline and the diesel, etc. And that is a good point, because right now there's an anomaly with the way the taxes are paid on the gasoline and the diesel and all that stuff, depending on how you bring it in. Someone bringing it in on a browser pays a different price than someone bringing it in by a ship and running a line into, so there's some further discussion that we could have on that. We got into a long and lengthy discussion about cockfighting and the legality or illegality of what's happening in that area, and we even touched on some other criminal situations, in the country, and we had a long discussion about what is ethical and what is unethical, and we even went on to get into some areas about some other activities that things that could be for the next show. Definitely good information for the next show. We were unable to get to some of the texts, and don't forget we had wonderful guests. We had Dr. Carl Dawson and Donna Lewis here in the beginning that spoke about the islands of the world conference that's coming up.
May 29th.
May 29th and until the 1st. So we're going to encourage our viewers to go to the website, go to the college's website, www.hlscc.edu.vg, and you'll find all that information there. You get a link to the website where you can register and become a part of the conference. Don't just be a spectator when something as important as this is happening in our country, but be a part of the entire thing. So all in all, I think we had a very good show. I would like to say I'm going to be bigging up the Tatola Limo services and some other upcoming stuff that we're going to have some changes to the program. I don't know if you're aware of that. We're going to be inputting computer technology to the program where we're going to be pulling up information about different things that people might tell us about. We're going to actually bring the websites to the program and put it on the screen. So that is something that's coming as well, and people can look forward to that. Sam, all in all, we had a very good show. Any last thoughts you want to say apart from that it's Black History Month? And
I think you hit pretty much
most
everything.
of them. Okay, good.
I mean, I'm not here to offend anybody. That last caller, I apologize if I offended you. I'm not here to offend anybody, but there's one side to one story, and there's another side, and there's one down the middle. We do have a number of people who deliberately decide they don't want to have their kids in the U.S. Virgin Islands for what? I mean, when you can easily have them here. Most people who don't have the opportunity can't go to U.S. Virgin Islands, find it fit to have their children right here, and we have a lot of healthy, kids. We have a lot of kids come out. Confidentiality is right there. So I applaud you if that was your main reason. All I'm simply saying, to build a country, you have to have pride in your people, and you have to have pride. And to me, pride is where you're from, where you're born, what you give back to your society, what you receive from it, and it's everything that makes and shape your life. So if you have kids, raising up in this country that have 2 and 3 passports, and they have no sense of identity, they have no pledge. Who are they pledging to? So, if you can have your kids here, have your kids here. Born and raise your kids right here in the BVI. This is a great country. And we share benefits, a lot more benefits than a lot of other countries in this little country. And people are dying to get to the BVI. So we should embrace that.
We got to wrap up.
So, good night, folks. Thank you for watching. Remember, the show's called Speak Your Mind.
And at this time, I just say God bless these Virgin Islands and the people who live in it, and we'll see you next week.